So here we are at the beginning of 2024, and we're about to kick off a massive hiring season. Mid-January to early May is a big window in the hiring space. This is where a lot of executives will resign at the end of the year. They get their end of year bonus. They come in on January 2nd. They put in a resignation because they're about to go do something else. And so now there are executive level positions that are available. This is pretty common. The other thing that happens is new budgets are started in January. So most companies are on a calendar year fiscal calendar, which means that January 1 marks the beginning of a new budget cycle, and new positions are usually turned on January 1. So now HR goes out about their way of hiring for those positions. So mid-January to mid-May is the big hiring season. We're coming up on that. So let's talk about if you're ready for this big executive hiring window that's coming up. What are the mindsets that you need to have in order to take advantage of this huge executive hiring spree that's about to happen? Today, we're going to go through 5 mindset shifts that you have to make to really take that next step in your executive career. My name is Tom, and I'm the founder of Vertical Motion, where we help mid-career professionals become executives. If that's interesting to you, then you can learn more by clicking a link down below in the description that will give you more information about a coaching program that we run that helps take you hand in hand from where you are, mid-career professional, up to the executive level. So if you're interested, go check out that link. The other thing I wanted to mention today is I'm super excited about this. We just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which to me is mind-blowing. We were at 500 subscribers in, I think, November. And so we're starting to pick up a lot of traction, and I'm really excited about that. And I know 1,000 subscribers versus some of these great big YouTube channels. I'm no Mr. Beast, but I'm excited about the fact that we're starting to grow a pretty good-sized community here on YouTube. We have 50,000 subscribers on Instagram, and I think 4,000 on LinkedIn, and I think maybe 5,000 on TikTok. So the audience is definitely growing, but here on YouTube, I'm really excited about crossing that 1,000 subscriber threshold. Also, one thing of interest that I learned today was that 60% of the people who watch my content are not subscribed. So if you're watching this video, you like what I'm about, you like what we talk about here on this channel, if you find this interesting, it would really mean a lot to me if you would go ahead and subscribe to the channel or even just give a like. I don't normally ask for these kinds of things, but it does help with the algorithm. And if we can reach more people with our message and you can help us do that, I would certainly appreciate that. So with that, let's dive into the content today, which is talking about the mindset shifts that you need to make in order to take the next step in your executive career. And so let's just dive right into it. The first mindset shift that you need to make in order to take the next step in your career, instead of looking for jobs, you need to create demand for your services. What do I mean by this? We tend to be passive about how we look for jobs. We've been taught to go to Indeed or LinkedIn or one of these job portals or a company's job portal and look for opportunities that are available. Well, that's a passive way of trying to build your career. If something happens to line up that's perfect for you, great, but it doesn't usually happen that way. Instead, what you want to do is you want to become a version of yourself that attracts the hiring managers to you. You want to make yourself visible to them so that they can see that you're the kind of person who should be on their team. And then they have conversations with you, and then together you create a position description that's really written for you. This is why you may see a position description online that looks like you're a perfect fit for it. You put in your resume and they reject you. Well, the reason they may be doing that is because they already have the perfect candidate in mind. And that's because the hiring manager and that candidate have been talking about working together prior to the position description being actually let online. Because it's a little bit like when you are bidding on government contracts, where if the RFP comes out and that's the first time you know about the opportunity, you're not going to win that opportunity. Someone else has helped the government write that RFP, has helped them kind of seed that RFP with things that are positive for them and negative for competitors. So it's kind of the same way with position descriptions. Not all the time, but a lot of times the best position descriptions that you see out there that seem like they're written perfectly for you are written perfectly for someone in mind. And you want to be on that side. So instead of passively looking for jobs, looking on job boards, which you should do, but it should be 10% of what you do. The other 90% should be about you putting yourself out there in a way that gets people attracted to who you are. and learn about who you are as an executive, as a leader, as a professional, the things that you know how to do, and the excitement that you have around working in their organization. So build relationships with hiring managers. So you can do this by building your brand online, in person, and expressing your opinions and thoughts about the work that you do. That will get hiring managers attracted to you. You can then have conversations and potentially move a position description towards something that's perfectly tailored towards you. So the second mindset shift that you want to make in order to take the next step in your career is to go from a receiving mode to a transmit mode. And here's what I mean by this. When you are passive, you are absorbing information, you are learning, and you are collecting knowledge and information. Well, that's super powerful and valuable for you, but it's not necessarily valuable for those around you. Instead, what you need to be doing is creating information and creating knowledge that you can share with other people. And you can do this a lot of different ways. So let's just talk about one way. In the office, when you are working with a team and you see something that's broken, you see a process that doesn't work right, and you have thoughts on how that process can be improved, put together a plan, a presentation of a plan on how to improve or change the process. Take ownership of something that's not necessarily in anyone's rice bowl. You want to take ownership of something that everyone agrees is broken. Raise your hand, ask for permission to improve a process, and go about the action of creating and improving that process. If you do this, more and more people will see you as a proactive person who's able to contribute to the community as opposed to just taking from the community. So mindset shift number 2 is going from taking to giving mindset. You want to be constantly giving thoughts, giving ideas, giving praise, giving content, giving knowledge, giving information, as opposed to just receiving only. You should always be learning, you should always be absorbing, but we tend to be very passive. When we scroll the internet, we're just receiving what's out there. Take the initiative to put content out, either on LinkedIn or in your office or with your peers or in a one-on-one meeting with your boss, but be willing to put yourself out there, put your thoughts and ideas on how things can be better out there. And changing your mindset that way will help you be seen differently by the people who work with you. The third mindset shift that I want you to make is to, instead of being closed-minded and pessimistic about things, you need to be optimistic and open-minded about opportunity. Executives are naturally optimistic people because their role is to build and grow an organization and take an organization through challenges, get past the challenge and into a situation where it's a better organization. You have to be optimistic. You have to believe that there is greatness coming, that there is an opportunity to improve coming. If you believe that, then those opportunities tend to show up. You manifest what you believe. So if you're a pessimistic person by nature, it's okay to be pessimistic, but understand that in order to be successful as an executive, you have to learn how to see past your pessimism and believe in the good things that can happen for an organization so that you can now manifest those things. If you always believe, well, this is going to zero, this is going to break, we don't know what we're doing, that company's going to take our business away from us. If you believe those things, you will manifest those things. And so if you're the leader of a company that's saying things like, we're no good, we just can't build these products the way that our competitors do, we might as well just pack it in. Could you imagine working for a CEO like that, right? We naturally kind of fall into our own personal tendencies. And one of them that I see, especially on the operations side of business, is this pessimistic, fatalist, sense of that it's just never going to work out the way that it should. You have to let go of that. You have to shift your mindset towards being optimistic if you want to move up the ranks in leadership. Being negative and pessimistic and calling out why something won't work all the time will not get you promoted, I promise. The fourth mindset shift that I want you to think about is kind of difficult, and I've talked about this just recently in an episode, but it's understanding that there are two ways to get ahead in your career. You can be a leader or you can be a manipulator. And the mindset shift that I want you to make is to understand that there are two paths to the top, and you have to choose which path you want to take. So what do I mean by this? A leader is someone that I define as being authentic, empathetic, and audacious. Authentic as in they are truly who they say they are. Empathetic in that they understand and can communicate with other people with diverse opinions, experiences, backgrounds. And then audacious in being willing to be decisive, be confident, and put yourself out there, even in an absence of information typically needed to make tough decisions. Authentic, empathetic, audacious people, I think, make the best leaders in the world. There's another class of people who learn how to emotionally manipulate people to the point where they get promoted and promoted and promoted, and eventually they wind up in roles that that they're totally not qualified for and have no idea what they're doing, but their ego is so fragile, they can't let anyone see how exposed they really are. Those manipulators do move to the top, and quite honestly, they don't always suffer the consequences of being manipulative. You have a choice in life. You can be a leader or you can be a manipulator. If you want to be a manipulator, I'm sure there's some Sigma, Alpha male channels out there where you can learn how to do that stuff. That's not me. I focus on how to be a great leader because my belief is that great leaders do move to the top and they build great teams of other leaders underneath of them that beget other great leaders, and everything is improved. Everyone's quality of life, everyone's needs are met. Everything is better with this. Manipulators, they leave trails of carnage behind them. And I think that the mindset shift that I'm trying to get you to see is that there are these two types of people in leadership. And so when you're confused about why someone seems to be really adept at office politics and you're a better person than them and you should have had that promotion, but they just use politics to get ahead, they may be a manipulator. And yes, manipulators do make it to the top. You have a choice. They may not care what they look like in the mirror in the morning, but I do. When I look at myself in the mirror in the morning, I have to believe that I'm doing the right things for everyone. And if you're like that too, then bias towards that. And I promise you, being an authentic person, being empathetic, being a great leader will get you where you're trying to go. And if you lean into that, you'll get there faster. If you try to play being a great leader and being a manipulator at the same time, well, people will only see you as a manipulator. And you may get to the top, but you always get found out for being a fraud. So mindset shift 4 is to understand that there are two ways to the top, leader, manipulator, and understand which one you should be in order to move yourself up. And finally, the fifth mindset shift that I want you to think about in order to move your career forward is to understand that executives are not super managers. Executives do very different things than managers. And here's why this is confusing. It's because sometimes executives do executive functions and they do management functions. I'm even aware of some executives who do individual contribution tasks as well. So the three layers of an organization, you have individual contributors who do the thing, managers who manage all of the individual contributors and the resources of the company, and then you have executives. And at the executive level, what people are doing is they are looking outwards. They are looking towards the future. They're looking at the system that they've built to make sure that it's the right system, that the system is doing the right things. Management is about making sure that system works as efficiently and effectively as possible. But being an executive means that you're deciding whether that system should even exist, or if it should change, or if it should improve, or become something else entirely. So executives do that at the top, but sometimes executives also are managing teams. So executives do manage managers, and this is where I think people get confused, is that those executive skills are different than what managers do. Managers sometimes do executive skills. Managers can do this, and executives can do what managers do. And so there's three roles: individual contributor, manager, and executive. Your title and your position description may involve elements of all three, or one or two of these. But understand that there are different roles that executives must excel at. So if you're sitting here thinking to yourself, I need one more certification, or I need an MBA, or I need some sort of accolade to impress people. No, you've already demonstrated your professional skills. What you need to now start demonstrating are your executive skills. And executive skills are just not taught in a lot of places. That's why this is so frustrating. So you may be hearing this for the first time, that executive skills are different than manager skills. Being a great manager does not necessarily mean you'll be a great executive. By the way, I know some executives that are great at being executives and they're terrible managers. I'm one of them. So you can have strengths and weaknesses in these three areas: individual contribution, management, and executive level. But understanding that to move to the executive level, you have to build and develop these executive level skills. And there's not as many clear checkbox type things that you can do to demonstrate your executive acumen. That's what we teach in my program, the Executive Career Accelerator, where we help people become executives by learning the executive skills that they need to take the next step in their career. So those are the 5 mindset shifts that I want you to make in order to take the next step in your executive career. I hope this list was helpful to you, and if you want to learn more about this, you can check the link below in the description of this video. It leads you to a video that will talk about how my Executive Career Accelerator program works. We have 43 people in the program as of today, and we have 10 people who have become, 11. We just had a new person. She just got promoted. So we have 11 people who now have been through the program and successfully become executives. We have 9 people interviewing, and the community is growing. It's amazing. I would love to show you more about it. it. Go check out that video to learn a little bit more about the program. If you're interested in taking the next step in your career, I'd love to have a conversation with you or have one of my team members talk with you about how we can help you with that. So with that, I'll leave it here and I will see you in another one.